Dylan, let's start a little bit with your background.
I grew up out on site with Dad and his team.
Your dad being a builder, did you always have a hammer in the hand when you were a youngster?
Yeah, it sounds a bit cliche, but I definitely did.
What's your journey been so far?
I had a big mindset change. I had to get off the tools pretty early.
What were you looking for when you joined TPB?
And honestly, I just had no idea what I was doing at the time. I knew how to build the homes, I just didn't know how to systemize that.
What have been your mindset shifts over the last 12 months?
I wasn't putting in the effort I should have, and
What's been your most expensive lessons so far, and what have you gained out of it?
probably trying to build a business in the building boom. You know, outside looking in, it was all great, but you know, inside looking out, it wasn't very well systemized.
So what's next for you, Dylan? Welcome to the Builder's Ladder podcast from the Professional Builder, here with Marti, your host, and I'm with Dylan Mansell. How are you, my man?
Going okay, mate? Yeah, really good. First appearance on a podcast, so go easy on me.
I'll be gentle. So, Dylan, let's start a little bit with your background, where you're based, how you got into building, and then type of work your company does.
Yeah, yep. I am based in a small beachside town in South Australia, about 2 hours west of Adelaide, called Moonta Bay. Born and bred here. Small town, small community, pretty tight knit. My dad was a builder in the area, so I've sort of been
How
around.
big's the community? How many people live there?
There's probably 3 towns very close by. My town, Moonta Bay, or Moonta, has about 10,000. Same with the other 2 towns. There's about 30,000 in the area. Definitely increases during summertime. There's a lot of holiday shacks up here and farmers' holiday shacks, but yeah, it fluctuates a bit, but that's about the population.
Nice. Your dad being a builder, did you always have a hammer in the hand from when you're a youngster? Were you on site early on?
Yeah, it sounds a bit cliche, but I definitely did. I grew up out on site with Dad and his team, and you know, I love that, you know, that camaraderie they had. That old generation where it's just work really hard, you know, big days, tight knit group, enjoy a beer together after, and you know, go fishing together. You know, it was almost like a family growing up. So I just loved that. I loved how much the group looked at Dad as a leader, and you know, I guess the rewarding part of seeing the results of what they were building, that was big for me. So yeah, to sit back and watch that was really a boost in my career, I suppose.
How did you get started, and what's your journey been so far?
So my parents decided to move back to Moonta in 2019, and Dad was looking for work at the time and thought it was a good idea to approach him and form a partnership. And that was the beginning of Next Step Construction for us. So it was myself, my dad on the tools, with Beck, who you met at the summit. She's now my project manager. She was in the office. We were lucky enough to have 2 really good chippies come over and subcontract a lot of their time to us. And then we had an apprentice early days as well. So naturally from there, it just took off. For me, I had a big mindset change. I had to get off the tools pretty early, trying to build a business and handle the workload that the boom was starting to bring was a bit too much. So yeah, we made that decision for me to jump off the tools and handle the business side of things and running the jobs from the office. It worked really well for us because I was able to do that side without Dad putting too much effort into that. And then I didn't have to worry too much about the on-site stuff because I had full confidence in Dad in that role. You know, he was making sure the jobs were done on time, the quality was there, and the boys were performing the best they could be. And it was really nice to have someone from that generation take charge of the boys. I think at the time he really embedded his work ethic and his core values into them. And it's something I still see in the boys today, and it's carried through our business the whole way. So, you know, I'm very proud of what we were able to build together in those 3 or 4 years of business we're in together. You know, it was absolute chaos those 3 years. It really was, like, just trying to systemize a business to what we thought was right and handle the workload of a boom was crazy. So, you know, the age-old saying, you can't scale chaos. Sorry, mate, but we certainly gave it a red hot crack in those years. And yeah, definitely not sustainable, but we had to go. So I think, we grew the company from probably 600,000 or 700,000 turnover in the first year to probably 3 times that the next year, and then 2 or 3 times that again the following year. So yeah, it was a lot going on in those years, and yeah, look, very proud of what we done, and we may not have had all our systems in play. We were definitely underquoting jobs, but no regrets looking back. It was a big learning curve for us. At the time, we were building our brand, we were building our reputation, we were, so driven to get better. So all our skills were lifting, the boys' performance was lifting. It was a great time. We were definitely burnt out, but on the other side of it, it was the COVID boom, which brought a lot of first homeowners into play. They wanted to build homes because they were getting such a good incentive to do that. And we were able to do that for all the younger generation in our community. There was a lot of the younger generation that we built for, and I see them today in their homes, and I'm just extremely proud that we got to be a part of that for them. So look, as much as it was a big learning curve, it was a great time, and I'm super proud of what we did. Probably 2 years ago, me and Dad decided to part ways, and it was all on good terms. It was just naturally he wanted to just slow down, and I sort of wanted to go the other way and ramp things up a bit. So for me, it was great. It meant that I could make all the big decisions on my own, and I could sort of push the company in the direction that I would like. And here we are today. We've got a team of 9, which that's a real sweet spot for me. I'm really enjoying that number at the moment, and yeah, really looking forward to what the future brings for us.
Did you use fixed price labor crews at any stage?
Look, it was very hard at the time. I was sort of pricing off what general square meter rates were. So hard to do. I just had no idea at the time. I knew no different, mate. Like I just wanted to have a crack, and yeah, probably the wrong time to have a crack with the boom coming, and realize that really quick that margin erosion is not your friend at all.
It's a real thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing. So I had to learn very quick. We grew very quick at the time. I think we were really stoked to sort of turn over 700,000-800,000 in our first year, and then we tripled 2 years in a row. So quickly climbed up to nearly 5 mil, which without having any systems in place, was crazy.
So what were you looking for when you joined TPB? So you're already doing good revenue. What were you wanting, or what were you wanting to implement or change?
Oh, mate, I think I was just so burnt out. I think for me it was, I was still jumping on the tools, off the tools. My team was very burnt out. We were doing so much work. Like I really look back and feel bad about how much I put on the crew and how much work they were doing. And then to sit there and you'd look at your tax returns at the end of the year and go, shit, this just isn't weighing up. What am I doing? It's just, there should be more reward for what we're doing, and it shouldn't be this hard. And honestly, I just had no idea what I was doing at the time. It was, I knew how to build the homes. I just didn't know how to systemize that and, really, really set up a company. So yeah, just looking for some guidance more than anything.
Awesome. And what's been most useful so far in growing? Because you're in boardroom, where our more growth-oriented builders are the top 10%. What have you found so far about the community, the resource? Like, what's been most helpful?
Regards to boardroom or the whole program?
Oh, both.
Yeah. I think early days, look, just getting some structure was a big thing for me. I think, just setting my default week, trying to buy back time, trying to know where I could delegate tasks and what I could do, because I was wearing so many hats and finding it really hard to let go and who I could put in place and who could help me with whatnot. So it was really nice to have that structure, and I still really utilize that tool today. I still review my default diaries. I still go back through and make sure I'm protecting my time and delegating as much as possible.
Yeah, a great thing is every 90 days is to go back through it and go, okay, cool. How am I getting back 1 day a week? What am I getting off my place? Make you stop doing less. Go through the freedom finder, get rid of the low dollar value tasks or the ones that you suck at, procrastinate on, or just below your PBR.
Yeah, and it's still a powerful tool today. Like I'm still trying to buy back time now by, not trying to leave the business. I'm trying to buy back time to work on other things. So, and I've put that in place for my team too. They've got their own stop doing lists and their default diaries, and that's really helped to structure them to sort of pass things on, which, like, you've got to pass things on in business and delegate. So, it's been a good tool for them as well.
So you won our member in momentum at the summit out of 200 building company owners. I'm stoked to see good things happen to good people. What have been your mindset shifts over the last 12 months? How have you leveled up as a business owner, a leader, etc.?
Yeah, look, I went to the Auckland Summit on my own. At the time, I was sort of thinking, what am I doing? I got so much work on, and I got up there, and I was so grateful that I went to that, because it was almost like I left it very inspired and very driven. But I think that come from a feeling like I was failing and letting down my team, like I wasn't putting in the effort I should have, and that really changed my business for me, that summit. I think I sat there and I remember the audit box we were doing, the green, orange, and red, and I just remember really ticking a lot of reds and oranges, and I'm like, I'm meant to be up here in boardroom, and I'm letting my team down. I'm letting myself down. I'm not. I haven't got these strong. I had the systems in place, but really didn't utilize them as much as I should have. So
Yep.
I left there really driven to change. And since then, I sat at the Gold Coast Summit and ticked a lot of green boxes. It was so good just to, just to go, yeah, a bit of reflection. I've come a long way since that summit, and that was the goalpost to get to the Gold Coast and actually, yeah.
What are some of the biggest ones that you've put in place, bought back your time, or have improved profitability?
So systems wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So probably the big thing, I really refined my sales process. That's been a big thing for me. In a few ways, just the qualifying questionnaire is huge. Like we've really dialed down on that, and what that does, obviously, it qualifies people to come through the door, but it buys my team time as well. We went from quoting so many jobs, drawing a lot of plans, and paying for plans. And there was a lot of overheads and time that come from that. So that change alone just saved us so much time and money. It was incredible. So dialed down in that. I thought I had that pretty good, but then Simon did that presentation at Gold Coast, so got a little bit more work to do.
How I think that's one of the best things about Boardroom and the community as a whole is just how willing people are to share what's working well for them.
It's incredible, mate. We got up there to learn, but a lot of people got there to give too, and that's a big thing. I get a lot of inspiration out of the blokes that have been in the system for a long time, like your Ken Longshaws, Peter Niven, Simon Manor, because you notice they're the hardest working blokes in the room still. They're still wanting to learn and wanting to give, and they want to improve that 1%. And, you have to keep doing that. I think you can't just say that you've made it at some point, because you haven't. There's always work to be done.
Well, that's what my business partner Owen always likes to quote. There's two keys to success. One is curiosity and the other is intensity. So people who succeed at TPB and our members have the same two characteristics. Curiosity of how do I improve? How do I get better? What are other people doing? What's working for them? And then the other one is intensity. So shortening the time between decision and execution. How do I get this into play quickly to get this result? And then shorten the feedback loop every week. And I think that's the big thing, is if you can follow a format, talk to someone else who's already solved the same challenge that you're grappling with, or just sit down with them and they reframe, how you're looking at it. I think that's everything, is how you get out of procrastination and overwhelm and into action.
Absolutely. So outside of that, sort of definitely sales process was huge. We've got a couple volume builders in our area that, they're really good at what they do, and they were really hard to compete with because they do it so well. And, there's a place for those guys for sure, but we had to sit down with my team and really work out a point of difference and what we do better. And Peter Niven said to me at the Gold Coast Summer, difference better than better. And I think that really worked for us. And looking back, it's like, yeah, well, that's what we did. It was find the point of difference and really work on that. And that's helped us come a long way.
So how do you bring that to the fore in your sales process to differentiate you from the other builders that may be quoting?
Yeah, so I think our big points of difference is probably customer satisfaction, customer experience, and quality. That's probably the three main ones we want to work on. So the customer experience, I think that starts at the beginning, making sure they feel, invited, feel welcomed, giving them giving him marketing documents with testimonials, pictures, proof. That's a big thing.
I think what you've just said there is the differentiator, because a lot of people do great work in that, but they don't have video testimonials. They don't have case studies. They don't have a guarantee. They don't have a director's video of how we work with you. And they're not also showing we did great work. Well, that's cool, but how do you ensure that? Well, we won 56 Master Builders Awards. We have a quality assurance 287-point checklist. We have subtrades sign off their work, and then we double check it to make sure that it's good. So when you show we have these systems and this social proof, and here's how we're going to help you get this result, I think that reduces skepticism and ups believability tenfold.
Yeah, and that's really hard to do being a new company too. You know that you're good enough and you know your work's good, but you really have to go and execute some projects to get that out there to show people. And being in a small, tight-knit community, like, word of mouth's huge here. So everyone just knows about the one bad job you do, not all the good jobs you're doing. So really trying to execute that quality has been a big thing for us, and the checklists have helped us that way.
Awesome. So if your current self could advise your past self 5 years ago, what would it say to a young Dylan?
Oh, mate, slow down. Slow down. You don't have to chase every job to be successful. I think, that was a big thing for me. It was just wanting to please everybody. Don't compare yourself to others is a big one. Really worrying about what your business needs and nothing else outside of that. Working on that top 20% each month, the one thing that you really need to hone in on, and then move on to the next thing. So, and knowing my numbers, like, if I knew my numbers back then, I wouldn't have made the decisions I did back then. So definitely financial clarity. Get on top of that. That's the biggest lever in your business. So.
That's why we start with financials with everyone. We review your chart of accounts to make sure it's set up, get a P&L every month, compare it to the budget, and then we can drill down into the projects to see where things going.
Yeah, I think at Auckland, like, Lloyd's presentation resonated with me the most, just about back costing and profit protection, getting a system in place. So that was another big one for us, actually working with our estimators and following that right through to back costing. I'm really tightening up in that area now. So that's
100%. What's been your most expensive lessons so far? And I guess what have you gained out of it?
Probably trying to build a business in the building boom. I was young, my ego was high. I was all about, building lots, having flash cars, having a new office, and outside looking in, it was all great, but inside looking out, it wasn't. It wasn't a very well systemized building company. So that was a lot of lessons. I don't regret any of it. It's helped shape who I am today. But yeah, definitely, busyness doesn't equal profitability, and it's okay to say no, and only, I guess, try to win the amount of jobs that your business can handle, because you can only grow to what your systems are, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And how has your definition of success evolved and changed?
It's a hard one. I think, it's not financial for me. It's about being happy and healthy, and everyone around you being happy and healthy, and I guess that freedom to spend time with your family and my kids and whatnot. So I think a lot of people look 10 years into the future when you ask about success. But look, I like to look 10 years back and go, if I asked my young self where I wanted to be in 10 years, I would have been stoked to be here. So, reflection's a big thing. So, personally, I'm really happy to be where I am. I love living in the present. I've got a really nice family, good life partner, good team. I'm really enjoying life at the moment. So, as for the business, look, I just really want to enjoy the systems we put in place. We've got some really cool clients, some really cool builds. The team's awesome. They're all growing. We're all learning. So yeah, really want to enjoy that over the next couple of years.
Awesome. I love what you said there. How do you hold high standards and maintain a strong culture in your company? Because just going back to that thing about definition of success, a great saying that I heard was success is being able to do what you want, when you want, with whom that you want. And quite often, 95% of your headspace or your problems will be taken up by 5% of the people around you, whether that be subcontractors, clients, team, or whatever. How do you hold high standards and culture in your business? Because you sound very team oriented, and I would love to know what you're doing to, build, maintain, and hold that culture.
Yeah, look, I'm a big believer in you're only as good as the people around you. I love putting people in place that I guess really fit into their roles and want to grow in their roles. Like we speak of Brody and Beck, the people you met at the summit. I've given them responsibility of their roles and letting them grow, and I think that breeds success in itself. They lift everybody else up around them, so that's a big thing. Trusting your team. It's probably been a big mindset shift for me because I went from being a chippy, and the harder you work, the bigger the role model you are. And, that's been a hard transition for me to be the business owner and not see the carpenters as much as I once was. So bridging that gap's very hard. And I loved your presentation on the cultural meeting. I think next week we're definitely going to have one of them. So, I think that'll help. But I'm not sure how to put something on it. I think the boys just have a lot of respect for me. I have respect for them. It goes both ways.
I think I think it starts from your values and getting your team to buy into those and help form them. And then so you have a meeting about that. And then out of that comes the definitions. Then out of that can come the rules of the game. And everyone who contributes, they're like, well, my voice is valued. I feel seen, felt, and heard. And this is a place that values me. And then when you start to treat everyone as a leader and you empower them with PSR, problem, three solutions, define the problem correctly. What are three possible solutions? And then what's your one recommendation? You grow this culture of like a founder type mentality, and very quickly people stick out. Like we're at 85 people now, and we've hired something like, I don't know, probably around half that amount, like around 45 this year. And not all of those are A-grade players, and some of them you have to have tough conversations with. But if you frame it up in the beginning, here's what's expected when you come to work here. These are our values. This is your scorecard. We're going to meet every week for 20 minutes. So, one metric, whether you're winning or not. I think that helps create the right environment for people to succeed, to level up, or to opt out if it's not for them.
For sure, and I probably need a little bit more structure around that, which that's probably one of my bigger takeaways from the summit is getting that structure around the scorecards and the KPIs and leveling up on that side of it, because I think it's just come naturally in our team to want to be better, but you can't rely on that.
It's like trust and verify. So what's next for you, Dylan? Where do you want to take the business? What's possible?
I just want to build some cool shit, mate. Like that's, now that I've got the systems in place, I'm really, I don't know, I've got a passion for the game again. I'm really enjoying business now. It's things are going well. My team's really driven. I'm really driven. Getting some really good clients through the door. So small time. I really just want to, over the next couple of years, just really enjoy what we've built. Obviously, the learning and the developing doesn't stop, but just enjoy that over the next couple of years. Long term, I'm not too sure. I think we've found a sweet spot with our team. There is some longer term goals, but where it can go from here, I'm not sure.
Awesome. Well, the sky's the limit. I think it's great seeing great people do great things, and good to see you winning and being massive momentum. Massively appreciate you, Dylan. You're a rock star.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks for having me, mate.
Appreciate you.